Welcome to the third lecture in this lecture series on Principles of Insurance IC01 course of the Insurance Institute of India. In this lecture, we will be dealing with a portion of the first chapter titled Risk Management. We will cover the concepts of risk analysis and risk management. The purpose of risk management is to identify and eliminate, or at least reduce the chances of risk. Risks are possibilities, not certainties, and are measured by the loss that may happen if a peril strikes. Please recollect in the previous lectures that a peril meant the cause of loss. That is, anything that causes loss is a peril. For example, fire, flood, earthquake, lightning, etc. So therefore, risks are measured by the losses that may happen if a peril strikes. The actual loss can range from zero, that is nothing, to total loss of the subject matter of insurance. The actual loss will also include costs of repair, replacement or reinstatement, and the consequential losses until repair, replacement or reinstatement. The consequential losses would include expenses for cleaning up and removing debris, the loss of rent, production, revenue and profits until restoration of normalcy, and possible liability losses for third-party injuries. For example, assume that there is a power plant. Now, because of some issue such as say earthquake or flood, the power plant is shut down. So, the expenses that would be undertaken to remove the flooded water, then the loss of production of electricity and the revenue that the power generator may earn, so these losses are also consequential losses. In addition to that, because of the failure to supply power to a particular entity or organization, it is possible that such entity may impose damages as per the contract. So consequential losses could also include possible liability losses for those third party injuries. The total loss that can happen is referred to as maximum possible loss or MPL. This is the worst case scenario or the most pessimistic view, and it is also called as maximum foreseeable loss. So it is either MPL or MFL. Now note that the maximum possible loss is different from another related concept called as probable maximum loss or PML. So please remember, MPL is different from PML. Now the risk exposure is the MPL, that is maximum possible loss, multiplied by the probability of the peril. This is the probable maximum loss. So MPL and PML are factors that are relevant in identifying and analyzing the risk. There is another factor that must be looked into, that is the credibility of the data that has been used in the analysis. Occasionally, comparing the forecasts of losses made in the past with the actual losses will establish the credibility of the data as well as the steps necessary to improve the credibility. Now we deal with the practical aspects of risk management. Risks are managed using a mix of all these four alternatives. None of the alternatives are mutually exclusive. For example, attempts to reduce and prevent risk will continue to occur even after transfer of risks has been arranged. This is because invariably the loss will be more than the insurance will compensate for. Retention and transfer may appear mutually exclusive, but they are not. Through the systems of excess, retentions are possible from what has been transferred to the insurers. Excess is actually the amount usually pre-agreed that the insured has to pay towards
the resultant cost of the insurance claim.
So the relevant consideration for the appropriate risk management technique is costs and feasibility. Costs here not only include the amount of expenditure required to be spent to implement the alternative of the risk management technique, but also the potential loss of revenue and costs associated with negative publicity for the products. Prevention of risks may be perceived to cost too much, but when compared with the overall benefit of the cost of overall benefits that risk prevention may provide, the cost of prevention is never too much. The objectives will influence the decision on how much is too much. Now we look at 3 scenarios where a substantial amount of costs are spent in order to ensure that risks are prevented or managed. The first scenario is regarding the makers of passenger aircrafts. The manufacturer of passenger aircrafts attempt to make sure that none of the parts of the aircraft fails. They provide systems to take over and ensure the safety of everyone on board if a part of the aircraft fails. For example, it is possible for a 4-engine plane to fly only with a single engine, and if the last engine fails, the aircraft can still keep flying for a certain distance. An aircraft carry enough fuel to reach their destination and to fly from the destination to another airport if needed. All these costs are additional costs incurred to prevent a crash. These additional costs are incurred because apart from the moral or the legal obligation, the costs associated with the crash, such as fewer orders for aircrafts and fewer customers for the airline, are perceived to be much larger in comparison to the costs expended towards safety. Consider another scenario. Factories maintain inventories of crucial or essential spares to avoid breakdown of critical equipment. This is to reduce the delay in repairs and therefore reduce consequential losses in production, revenue and profit. Then consider another critical scenario. Crucial information of any organization or even of a person is backed up or duplicated, as it is too important to be lost under any circumstances. Even we do this, no? Crucial documents, we have a backup of those crucial documents in a pen drive or in a hard disk. So these are some common risk management techniques that are adopted, where although it may seem that they are costly, but the benefits that are derived from the risk management outweigh the costs. That's all in this lecture. See you in the next lecture, with topics such as loss reduction techniques, then understanding risk retention for individuals, etc. Bye bye. Stay safe.